Welcome to my channel. My name is Jeremy, and I am not a big fan of Christmas. Well, let me clarify. I'm not a real big fan of what Christmas has become. I think we have turned Christmas into a very extravagant and very luxurious and very materialized thing. Now, you might think to yourself that I'm sounding kind of like a George Bailey or Charlie Brown or Scrooge or the Grinch, and you're probably right. Because, see, what has happened over the last couple of years is I've been really fed up with the way that we have turned Christmas into basically what it is. I don't like it, and I feel like we've kind of really drowned out the meaning of what Christmas really is. And I think Christmas is about this opportunity. Now, let me first talk about, the number one thing I don't like about Christmas is that Christians and non-Christians argue over every little thing, like the Christmas tree. Is that secular or is that Christian? And then the lights, is that secular or is that Christian? And Christians turn everything into a way to represent God, which is great, but then secularists always talk about how it's a way to, how is pagan traditions, and did Jesus really, was he really born on December 25th, or did he really was he born in the springtime? And they go back and forth, and that right off the bat just creates so much animosity to me, because I think it misses the entire point. Now, I did hear a pastor one time say that he believed that Jesus was born at this time because it's the darkest time of the year. And so symbolically, for Jesus to be born at the darkest time of the year makes sense since he is the light of the world. But does it really matter that he was born on December 25th? No, it does not. At least not to me. And so that right off the bat, did we pull these things from pagan traditions? I don't know. Are these Christian traditions that we established as Christians and said, hey, this is what we're going to do to celebrate Christians? I don't know. Okay? The bottom line is, Christians have been taking pagan things and secular things and transformed them into Christian aspects all the time. This is where we get Christian rap music. This is where we get Christian rock music. I mean, we've been doing this all the time, where we take secular things and we turn them into Christian things. So is it a real big deal if Christmas was a pagan or a Roman or a secular thing? Not to me, okay? Because I do that all year round. In fact, I think Jesus in his stories and his parables did that a lot, where he took something that was every day and something that people who didn't believe in God knew and talked about and lived, and turn that into an aspect of Christianity, or to relate an aspect of who God was to these people. So right off the bat, that's the number one thing that I'm tired of the arguing. Number two, the things and the stuff. It's amazing. It's amazing. Of all the Bible and the story of Jesus being born, when you have these wise men, these magi who come and bring 3 gifts. And somehow we have exploded that into Christmas. And there's a little bit of St. Nicholas, where he brought gifts to the poor. And so that kind of, based off of that, and that's how we evolved, and that's how we got into what we have today. But my goodness, Christmas is about want. And that drives me absolutely nuts. And part of that, and I'll be honest, part of it is because I don't have the ability to give material things. And so you feel guilty, you feel obligated, you feel like there's this sense of urgency to go out and buy people things. You have to buy your family things, you have to buy your extended family things, you have to buy your friends things, and you have to buy your coworkers things, and you have to buy this party and that party, and you have to buy. And it's like, well, wait a minute. The Magi maybe could afford those things, but Mary and Joseph certainly could not. And yet they still celebrated Christmas, and they had a great Christmas, I would imagine, if we're talking about the birth of Jesus. And so where did we get this idea that we have to go out and rush out on Black Friday, or we have to go out and get all these deals and sales in order to have these elaborate Christmases? And here's the thing. That's not what Christmas is about. That's the farthest thing from what Christmas is about. Christmas, to me, and according to my interpretation of the Bible, is about the complete opposite of that. It is about service. It's about Christ coming down and serving the people who hated him. I mean, think about that. It's not even just people who who worshiped Jesus he served. He came down to serve the people who would eventually betray him and crucify him. That's the people he came down to. Okay? And the people who, for generations, would curse his name and use his name in vain and spend so much effort on denying him. This is who Jesus came to serve. Right? Humility. The fact that Jesus even came down to be born, even to walk this earth, is a huge act of humility. But then you think about the God of the universe being born in a lowly manger. I mean, with a woman who was in scandal and parents who were in scandal. That is humility. And that is Christmas to me. And loving your neighbor, even when they don't like you. And if you look at the parable of loving your neighbor, it's these people who we would not normally associate with. And these people who by social standards are separate from us. And this is what Jesus did. He came to serve. He came to live a life of humility. And he came to love one another and to set an example of all these things. And so at Christmas, why, even if we have a little bit of that, why is it about the gifts? Why is it about the gifts? It shouldn't be about the gifts. In fact, what an amazing thing it would be to just wipe gifts off the table. That we don't even give gifts to each other. Or maybe gifts of service. Maybe gifts of love. Maybe gifts of humility. I mean, this embodies Christmas. And our family, the last couple of years, have really tried to change our attitude. Because it's one thing to sit here and complain. It's one thing to be a Scrooge and yell bah humbug at people. And it's another thing to be a Grinch and sit up in your cave and just pout. But we tried to change. We tried to change our attitude. We tried to change the way we celebrated Christmas. And so we took the tree out of our center of our living room, our focus, and we put a manger in there because that's special to us. That's more meaningful to us. And we tried to do this thing called Shepherd on the Search, which is a daily thing throughout all of December where you focus on Jesus and you focus on the attributes of Jesus and you try to do an activity that exemplifies those characteristics of Jesus. And I'll tell you, 2 years ago, I was a complete Grinch. I just was miserable at Christmas. I didn't enjoy it at all. And over the last couple of years, God has been changing my heart because my focus has been changing. I focus more on Jesus, and it's really not about the gifts. Now, I'll take a huge step back and say, because my attitude has been changing and my focus is on Jesus, I've actually been able a little bit to enjoy a little bit more aspects of the Christmas season where, I think having lights up is kind of neat. I think the Christmas tree, it doesn't bother me. It's not the main aspects of Christmas. It is Jesus. And I think that's said a lot, but to really live it has really changed my life. It's really changed my attitude about Christmas. I would say this has probably been one of the happiest and most joyful Christmas seasons I've had because I'm not worried about the gifts. I'm not worried about what I have to give people. I'm going to give people what I give them, and as a family, we're going to give them what we can do, but we don't feel an obligation. We don't feel a sense of duty to give people these elaborate gifts. We're going to give them meaningful gifts. We're going to give them what we can, and that's that. And I'm okay with that, and that feels really good. The other thing I kind of have an issue with is how some churches portray Christmas during this holiday season, this Advent season, where a lot of church pastors and churches know that this is a season where non-believers or non-churchgoers, more is what they're concerned about, coming to their church and hopefully hooking them and getting them to stay past Christmas service. And so what churches do is this is when they pull out all the big stops. This is when the best of the best worship and the best of the best preaching happens. And this is the best of the best of the best of the best. Number one, it's about humility. It's about not being the best. It's about going into low places, and it's about being who you are, as you are, come as you are. I mean, we get all dialed up and we get all fancied up and we put on the best of the best, and it's this production and this show, and yet we sing the songs, come as you are, or fall on your knees, and it just is contradictory to what we're really trying to portray. And so churches tend to have this hook where they try to lure you in and look how great we are and look how fancy we are. Come to our church and stay and become a member. But what we really should be teaching, in my opinion, is humility. We're not the best. We're not all that. We're not cool. We're not hip. We're not fanciful. We're not trendy. We don't use catchphrases, and we don't use the hippest lingo or use songs, secular songs. Just stop trying to be cool. Stop trying to be hip. Stop trying to bring in certain groups of people, and just be humble. Serve. Love. These are the things that I think Christmas is all about. And whether that's on December 25th or April 1st or July 20th, I don't care. December 25th to me is a day that we just celebrate the birth, the coming, the life, even the death, and the resurrection of Jesus. Now, I know. That's Easter, and that's coming up. And I don't think we're allowed to celebrate Easter at Christmas, but I'm going to break the rules, and I'm going to do that. This is just a day. Like, if my birthday wasn't when it is, I would just pick a day and celebrate that day, because I'm just celebrating the life. I'm celebrating everything that's been accomplished because of that. And so what? If we choose December 25th, great. If we don't, okay, that's fine. Like, it's not a big deal. And if people wish me Merry Christmas, that's great. And if they don't, that's okay too. It's not about keeping this idea of we need to keep Christ alive. Like, Christ is alive. You don't he is alive. We don't have to necessarily do anything to keep him alive. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to stop. Write your comments down below. Write your opinions down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you do to celebrate Christmas and to make it meaningful to you. Any traditions that you have, anything like that. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.